2.
Hi everyone.
Hello guys.
Welcome back to God knows what episode this is. I think we're in the double figures now.
We are in double figs.
Today we're going to be talking about our recent watches. A lot of stuff has come out / came out in the month of Feb. And we managed to catch the majority of it. So in today's episode we're going to be talking about The Testament of Anna Lee, the Elvis Presley in concert film. Emily's going to talk about If I Had Legs I'd Kick You.
Saw that yesterday.
I'm going to talk about The Secret Agent and Wasteman.
Wasteman. I really want to see Wasteman.
Yeah, it was good. So, we're going to start firstly with The Testament of Anna Lee.
I want to hear your thoughts first. I saw this before Ella, and I gave like a spoiler-free review, and I was like, I'm really intrigued to see what Ella thinks. And you saw it yesterday, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
What are your thoughts?
Really enjoyed. I rated this 4 out of 5 on Letterboxd. I did know what to expect when I went in, because I have watched quite a few interviews of it, because I think Amanda Seyfried's press tour for this has been bob on.
Yeah.
If you don't know, it's set in the 18th century and it follows the founding leader, Anna Lee, of the Shaker movement, played by Amanda Seyfried. And it just basically follows her rise from poverty to leading a radical religious movement, which was primarily built on equality, faith, and kind of like ecstatic worship. Would you say that?
Yeah, it was almost like I read a review which was so interesting, that it said that because it was like the main sort of like belief at the heart of the religion or that particular movement was celibacy brings you closer to God. It was almost as if the movements and the gestures and sort of the sort of possessive sort of physical movements were kind of like a replacement for sex, which I kind of thought it was like an ecstatic sort of expression that you could only get there, that gets you closer to God and is their replacement for sex. So I was really intrigued by that premise. I didn't really think of that as much when I was watching the film. I was kind of just like, visually I was just so kind of perplexed by the actual choreography. That was one of my favourite parts of it. But that kind of came into my mind after I read a few things on it. And it was one of them films, I don't know about you, but I went away, because I went in pretty blind. I knew it was about the Shaker movement. Yeah. I didn't really know what the Shaker movement was, what they believed, how it came to be. So I went in blind. I'm glad I did. I had no conceived ideas of what it was, but I came away wanting to know more about it, and it left an imprint on me of going, who were these people? And that's like, if that's the overall effect of the film, then it's done a great job. I have so many thoughts on it, but do you have any others? Like, what was your favourite bits? And your least favourite?
I think the main thing was, I thought the pacing of the film was spot on, personally. Yeah. I do think the narration element helped. Obviously, we've seen narration in quite a few films. Like, we saw it in Train Dreams, narration was a big thing, wasn't it? So I didn't find myself wanting the story to move on any quicker than it did. So yeah, I kind of, one of the things I came out thinking, like, is narration back in films? Because I do think it, as I say, like, when I came out, I didn't think it was too long. Kind of when I wanted it to move on, it did. Obviously, it covered quite a span, didn't it? Covered from probably like 20 odd years, because she died when she was 48. But also, one of the main things was the cinematography and the choreography. The way this was shot, particularly the use of aerial shots on top, especially during the choreographed sequences. Oh my God. There was one where they were all going round in a circle, and I literally was like...
Yeah. It's hypnotic.
It really is.
It was the way in which it was shot. I kind of interpreted it as, because the cinematography, like what you said, was something else. I was in a trance, and it was so alluring, and it really fitted with them scenes as well, with the choreography, with the dancing, that they were kind of possessed and hypnotized themselves in a way. Not obviously literally, but they gave off the feeling that they were such. And when you're watching it, you do get a sense that you're just drawn in. It's for me, the best part of it was the combination of the cinematography, the choreography, and the editing. Yeah. It all, that particular part of it blended together so well. And from the first shot of the forest, I was thinking, wow, this is going to be visually impeccable. And oh my God, it was. The more I think about it, the more I want to watch it again. The more I think about it, the more I like it. And what you were saying about the narration, there were parts that I thought it did. There were parts in the middle, especially, like the pacing was brilliant, but there were parts in the middle where I did think pacing could have been maybe a bit quicker, or like there could have been a bit more density in the middle as such. But the narration at points, I thought in the middle especially, that was one particular thing where I thought, do we need this bit narrated? Like when they found the new land where they were going to sort of settle upon, when they found that, I was like, does this need to have as much narration in this bit? Like, there were moments where it wasn't as effective, and I think that was only because when it was effective, it was so effective.
Yeah.
I loved the fact that because it was narrated by, I believe it was narrated, obviously it's a cradle to grave tale, spoiler alert for those who haven't seen, but it's a cradle to grave tale, and it is narrated by one of her followers, I believe.
It was narrated by Thomasin McKenzie, who played Mary, one of her friends that was like there at every single birth of a child. Like it was one of her close friends, like one of the OGs of the follower of the Shaker movement. It
gave like a folklore element to it.
Yeah.
Like a bit of like this is a tale almost. And that really leaned into the cinematic element of it. It was a film obviously, but that for me, when it was so effective, it was so effective.
It was.
That last, I don't know about you, but that last half an hour was impeccable for me.
I also really enjoyed the sequences on the ship of them going through all the different weathers and like I just thought the way that was done was great. Celia Rawson Hall did the choreography for this film, and she's done a lot of music videos and TV shows in the past. Yeah, and she's collabed. So this film is directed by Mona Fastvold, and it was written with her partner Brady Corbett, and they did The Brutalist together. That's
another one.
Obviously kind of they wrote it together, but she took it and directed it herself. And Celia Rawson Hall, the choreographer, has worked with Brady Corbet on Vox Lux. Have you seen Vox Lux with Natalie Portman? And she's also choreographed the upcoming film The Drama with Robert Pattinson and Zendaya. Cool. And also found out she played the old version of Sophie in Aftersun.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So a girl with many strings to a bow.
No, that choreography was something else.
It was insane. When I did my research and found that, because like as soon as I left, I was like, who was that choreographer? Yeah. And then when I saw that she'd done quite a lot of music videos, and then I saw her body of work, I was like, yeah, that makes so much sense, because I think it just added such because it's a musical film, but it's not a musical film in the sense that like it's a film with music, and it's so necessary.
I was going to ask you about this, because I've heard some people say that they did it, having it be a musical, and I didn't really get the vibe it was a musical. No. I personally didn't. Did you feel? Cause some people have said it took them away from the story. I personally didn't feel that at all.
No, I think it was a very much needed element, because I do think, it wasn't like they were singing what they were, I'm going to the market and buying some bread, like not like a lot of musical films are. Yeah. Like if you look at, like things like Les Mis, that's sung all the way through basically, and that's kind of them singing normal lines. But it was just a film with the added music element, which was very much like a good stylistic element that they needed, and they kind of needed to kind of, embed in the story. I think really the music was gorgeous. I really liked the harmonies. The only song I was like, this is so random, is the one where the man was in the woods following his finger.
That was one
point. That took me out of it a little bit.
Yeah, that was a bit like too...
when he was like that, and I was just a bit like,
that was a bit
is
too
there any
much.
Need? That was the only part of the music aspect of it that I was a bit like, was that really necessary? Yeah. Obviously, it probably was necessary. Maybe if I was to watch it again. Yeah, I kind of was like looking around. Like there was 6 people in my huge screen watching this film, and we were all by ourselves. And I was kind of looking around to be like, is anyone else finding this weird? No one else was looking around either. But that's the only like bit that I just was thinking, ooh. Seyfried's performance was really powerful.
Do you think she should have got an Oscar nom?
I was debating this. Thinking any other year, yes, but I think this year is so strong.
I agree.
It's so strong. Maybe upon my watching some other films that have been nominated, because we've got one more film to watch. Well, I've got one more film to watch, and that's Frankenstein, and then I've done the whole Best Picture.
She's done all the Best Picture.
I've done all 10. And maybe after watching The Secret Agent, spoiler for what I'm about to talk about later, but I maybe would have swapped this one out.
Really?
I would have swapped The Secret Agent out and put this one in terms of Best Picture.
I honestly do think it should have had a Best Picture nom.
I do think, because I just think it's so like like
Mona Fastvold.
to me, it embodied Best Picture vibes.
Yes, I mean, you could argue that it's got an Oscar bait element to it.
Yeah.
But I do sometimes think that conversation about Oscar bait films can and should be had. But I also think some films get recognition from the Academy for a reason, because they are brilliant. And this film in particular is brilliant. I've never seen a film like this before, and I do think the whole musical element of it, for me, I wasn't preoccupied with the fact that there was music in it. And I think the fact that the music was written by and was kind of inspired by the hymns that these people would sing, like the Shakers would sing. The music was very much had a very sort of folky sort of element to it that really leaned into, it suited the subject matter. It was very much similar to what I was thinking, like I could actually imagine them singing this at the time. Yeah. So it didn't take me out of it because there was no sort of modern element to it.
No, it wasn't modernised at all.
There wasn't too many songs to the point where you think, God, everything needs to be sung. They were trying to make it too musically. Yeah. They put the songs in exactly where they needed it at really powerful, pivotal moments.
It didn't feel forced, did it? It didn't feel like, oh, we've kind of need to move the story on here. Let's put a song in. Yeah. Everything kind of came very naturally. I did nearly get whiplash from the ending.
Oh yeah, what did you think of the ending? Because
I was just like...
Oh, because it just ended.
Because it just ended, and I completely missed the last line of the film.
Oh,
what did she say?
No, I remember I remember feeling like, oh my God,
because I still don't know to now. I tried to search it, but I couldn't really find anything.
It was awkward. It was a line that had been said in the film, and it was very like...
I completely lost it, and it's not that I wasn't listening. I was paying attention, but I just completely lost it, and I think I was kind of expecting... I knew probably, because I'm
Google it.
Quite good in terms of gauging time within films, and I'm quite good at probably thinking, this is coming to like a crescendo now. The girl that said it, Thomasin Mackenzie, she's the one that narrated the whole film.
I love that bit as well, where she's like towards the very end, just before she dies, and she's sat in the garden and she's looking around for her brother, and then the narration just she's like clearly like just torn to shreds, and there's nothing left there, and the narration comes over and it says at age 48 she died. Yeah. It was really powerful. It was very sort of folk, like it did have like a folklore sort of element to it, and I thought that was really clever. And the fact that it was a musical as well, and the music was very much of that same realm. Everything just suited, everything just fit. I found that choreography so distorted and so hypnotic and alluring. I just was like, I was honestly engrossed by it. It was incredible.
But I did really enjoy this, and I do think definitely go and watch it.
100%.
It's a shame because I haven't seen, it's not being screened in a few cinemas, and I do think it's because they are a lot of the Best Picture nominees are being rescreened in cinemas, and I think it's a shame because it has just missed out on that awards merit. But I do think it's definitely worth a watch. I think it's a very interesting story.
Yeah, I liked as well how they didn't. This is another thing as well that I was like, I like the fact that they didn't they put her up on a pedestal, but they don't glorify Anne Lee.
No.
She's still depicted as a woman who has many, many imperfections. There's there's many questionable elements of her faith. The fact that she's so sort of hell-bent on, following this particular path and, garnering as much support as possible. She does so in a way that's admirable, but also questionable. And I like the fact that the film holds both in equal measure. Like, you don't feel pressured or compelled to just look upon her with so much adoration. Like, she was really depicted in a way that was very multifaceted, and I enjoyed that.
I think Mona Fastvold didn't stray away from like the harsher elements of her stories either, like all of her childbirths and kind of like the way that they were conceived.
Did you see some people, like, apparently a lot of men walked out of a few screenings when it was like premiering at festivals, really? Like, because of the birth scenes. And I was thinking,
I've seen worse. I think I think that was very much needed to kind of show like the hardship of like women during that time, especially her story. Like, she had 4 children that all died before the age of 1.
What? Yeah.
Like that, you need to, like, that's why you can understand why she became one of the founding leaders of the Shaker movement, because she kind of only really found solace in like God.
Oh yeah,
and believing in something and kind of being taken on as something else, because she's gone through so much trauma. It's like a coping mechanism, isn't it?
Yeah, and then there was points at the film where I was like, is her following of this religion and the way like being a part of the Shaker movement and kind of taking it over to America, is that down to solely her trauma or genuine faith, or is it both? And it's like an interesting sort of question to like explore and contemplate. The film, like many great films can and should do, they left you with more intrigue, more questions, wanting to know more about this woman and the movement. Like I just found it so, I mean, visually just so brilliant, but also it made me interested in it.
Yeah, it did. It made me come away like, I mean, we did history anyway in school, but it did make me want to kind of read more about it. But yeah, overall, Amanda Seyfried really is mother.
What did you think of what did you think of the accent?
The accent, I kind of went into it because of what you said about the accent, kind of like, you know, going for an extra ear out. Tell you who I think had slipped up the most was Lewis Pullman,
who plays the brother.
He had a bit of a he read out like a bit of a what did he read? I think it was a letter or something, and I was like, "You're American." I think it is a hard accent to do, and you know you've got to kind of give them the benefit of the doubt. But I thought Amanda Seyfried. I thought I didn't really like bat an eyelid at her accent. I didn't think it was like. It didn't take me out of it. Same with Thomas and Mackenzie's.
You didn't hear any American in her accent. We'll give her that. You heard no American.
You didn't at all.
It was a bit of like it was very much a Lancashire accent, and it wasn't the fact that her accent wasn't bad at all. She actually did a very good accent, I think. And Manchester it's notoriously not done often in films.
No.
It's very hard to do, and I do think they were in all fairness going for like more of like an 18th century Lancashire sort of accent. And particularly at the time of, you know, the Industrial Revolution or coming up to it, you know, you wouldn't have had, I think you would have had more kind of like a rural sort of, or pre-Industrial Revolution. It wouldn't have been as like kind of like when you're in more like a rural sort of like the outskirts, it is going to be a bit more like, no, like I don't know, that's just my presumption. But the one thing that I was a bit like, does it really match up? Because there were a lot of other people who actually had modern day Manchester accents. So I was a bit like, yours is very much quite a distinct accent. She did it very well, but it didn't, if you're going to go for like an 18th century sort of Lancashire slash Mancunian slash Yorkshire, why is everyone else's a bit different?
Definitely go and watch Testament of Anne because it was good.
Yeah, it was very good.
The next film that we'll talk about, we've also both seen, is Elvis. Epic. Elvis Presley in concert. It was directed by Baz Lurhman, and basically during the making of his biopic in 2022.
Was it 2022?
2021?
Was it? I don't know why I had it in my head it was 20. No, it's not 2019. It's way. No, 2022, 2023. I think. I don't know. Yeah. What? Yeah, because he
I'll
got
fact
beat
check,
in.
but...
What year did The Whale come out? Because I remember Brendan Fraser beat him in Best Actor for The Whale.
That was the same year as Everything Everywhere All at Once.
So 2023. Yeah, 2023. Yeah, so it came out in 2022.
Yeah. Famously, his Vegas shows were filmed and the videos just disappeared. They would kind of like, no one could find them. I think it was definitely to do with Colonel Parker. But
oh, yeah. Well, I didn't know they'd lost them. I thought it was like a legal
he found
thing
them.
with Graceland or something, like it was his estate. They couldn't release them.
I think they were just archived in a strange place. But then when obviously Baz was doing all of his research for his biopic in 2022, well, way before that because it was a long development, he found them, and I think he thought, well, no one's ever seen these before. Like, I need to, you know, the world needs to see them. And thank God he did, because it was so well put together. It was a documentary style type, but it was a concert. There was no narration. It told you a story through the clips of Elvis. It was almost like he was telling you the story himself, and then the way it was edited and pieced together, it still had the Baz Luhrmann effect. It still had the Baz Luhrmann like touch to it.
You could tell that it was the guy who made the Elvis biopic made this.
Yes.
Immediately from the first 5 minutes of that intro, immediately you could tell. It was so Baz Luhrmann. Probably one of my favourite things he's ever done, to be honest. That's saying something, the irony, it's not a film. Yeah. But it was just so, I mean, we're big Elvis fans anyway, so we loved it, obviously, because we love him. But I saw this in IMAX. Oh my God.
I know.
Me and my brother went, and we were like, it was so much fun. It was so much fun to watch. And like, touching on what you said as well, there was no like interviews, there was no sort of overhead, there was no narration. It was literally, most of the time, it was just clips of Elvis speaking, and it was almost like it had been edited and structured and put together in a way where it was Elvis purely telling you and his story. Profound, deep sort of like detailed insight into
kind of
who
like,
he
yeah, from like
was.
rehearsals to like the actual
Yeah.
performances, like how he was on stage. It shows you such like a charismatic side of him. I mean, we all know that he's like full of riz, but
Full of riz.
but like
No,
even
literally.
like down to like family elements, they still included that, but in such like a clever way. Didn't dwell too much. There was clips of Priscilla and Lisa Marie, and he was singing Always on My Mind over the top of it, and it was just like a lovely kind of ode to them. Then you had the clips of Colonel Parker. Again, didn't want to give him so much airtime, but obviously he's such a massive part of Elvis's life for all the wrong reasons. It kind of reinforces the sadness of his life, and because
It does.
he never left North America, and that was because of Colonel Parker. But the clips of him were then overlaid with Devil in Disguise, and it was just such a clever way.
That was so funny. It's so clever how they chose certain songs to be sung at certain points, and like what you're saying as well. I like the fact that when you think they're going to go down a bit of a rabbit hole on whether it's his marriage to Lisa Marie, you know, or the whole relationship with Tom Park. Sorry. His marriage to Priscilla, or is that, you know, his relationship with Tom Parker. You think it's going to go down that rabbit hole, and it could easily. And I think a lot of Elvis documentaries have done that, especially the ones where you've got people like artists, producers, like sat down chatting about Elvis. It touches on it very lightly, and it doesn't continue down that road, and you go straight back to Elvis singing, or Elvis in concert, Elvis in a rehearsal, and it always comes back to him. And I do think it kind of it was so sort of powerful, and it was a bit of a metaphor for how he had such little control over his life, and little control, like what you said, he never went out of North America because contractually he just couldn't.
I know, it's such a shame, because they included the clips where he was like, I'd love to go to the UK, I'd love to go to, you know, Europe.
Yeah.
Again, that kind of all just reinforces how much of an influence he was, because the fact that he only ever toured in North America, and America is such a vast country, yet everyone knows who he is. It's insane. Like, he was such a talent, and I think I got goosebumps on my goosebumps.
I got goosebumps just talking
film.
about it.
5 out of 5 stars. It was so good.
I enjoyed every second of it. I think it put the power back in the man's hands. It was a positive, happy exploration of his talent and his life, and it wasn't tainted by any of the shit that was surrounding him, and the people who had such a detrimental effect on his well-being and who he was. And I loved it. The way it was structured, the way it was put together, edited, a lot of subtext in it, you know, like what you were saying. Like, I just thought it was so clever, and I just thought it was proper cool, and I just had the best time watching it. Honestly, see it on IMAX.
So the next film, only I've seen.
I ain't seen it yet.
And it's The Secret Agent. It's the Brazilian film. It's a political thriller set in 1977 during the country's military dictatorship. And it kind of explores the theme of power, violence, and survival kind of amid this authoritarian rule in the country. It follows Wagner Moura's character, who was a great lead. I think because he led it, it made it a better film for me. It's a very historically and culturally rich film. I think personally, the thing for me, I think I can imagine someone that is very clued up on the history of Brazil. This was probably a bit more of an interesting watch, but for me, it was just way too long.
Is it because you don't know the context and you kind of like, you're having to follow along and make
decisions?
Yeah,
and I kind of was like learning as I went on, and you know, like, you know, Brazilian history, it's quite a niche thing unless you kind of, you know, I think they could have easily chopped 45 minutes off. Easy. Like, and I feel like that's saying something. Normally I'm like, you could have chopped it by 20 minutes, but I think you could have at least got 45 minutes off
nearly
this.
An hour that.
I know. There were some really strong supporting characters. There was a character called Donna Sebastiana, and she was a queen, and she's who I aspire to be when I grow up. She was like this icon, old elderly woman, and she was just like taking no shit. I loved her. I think in terms of the cinematography, it was very aesthetically pleasing. It was well shot. You kind of did get the 70s Brazilian hot country vibe.
See, I do.
There was a lot of yellows in the film, which I think I like yellow and mustard.
Like burnt yellow? Yeah, like a mustard.
Yellow and mustard. I really associate with the 70s.
I do too. And I think a lot of films are shot with that colour there from the 70s or anything.
Like, when was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood set?
69.
Yeah, see, we're going into that, and I associate yellow with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Too. Mm-hmm.
But Yeah. As I say, it was a long watch.
How long was it?
Like 2 hours 40.
So you think it should have been 2 hours?
Yeah, easy. A lot happened because Wagnamora actually ends up playing his son. Like, he like completely like shaves his head, and then they go forward in time because it's set in 1977, but then there's also a subplot that's set in like what you assume is kind of more modern day. I don't know when exactly it was. Don't know if it came up on screen. Whether it's the 2000s, I'm really not sure.
They didn't have the budget for another actor. Is
but
there a
like,
point
to be fair, like you kind of have to. I said to my mum, I was like, that was him at the end, wasn't it? Because he did look different. But
okay.
Facially, he obviously didn't. But there was also an added plot line, like a subplot of a leg, which was like, whether this is like some historical tale of Brazil, and like Brazilian people have appreciated that, or people that are clued up on Brazilian history would have appreciated that. But for me, that just didn't work. I just didn't really like see the point. It was just a bit like random. It was like this leg that like jumped by itself.
Oh,
like had been cut off.
You're not telling this to me.
I know.
I've not seen it.
But as I say, like for me, I like to watch all 10 best pictures, but I don't know, it wasn't a bad film. It just wasn't up my street. If you've got a spare afternoon, I'd go before the Oscars.
Would you?
Yeah, just so that you've watched it.
I know.
Because then we'll have watched all of them.
I know. See, Ella's like, it's Ella's mission to watch every single best picture.
I just feel like
I always miss one or two that I'm just not keen on. I don't really care, but like...
I don't like putting my 2 pence in when I haven't watched every single one. And I think as well, because it's nominated for Best Picture and Lead Actor, I did also want to see it for his performance.
What else is it nominated for, do you know?
Is it nominated in the
must
international category?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. That's got its sentimental value. In my opinion,
he's the only actor that's been nominated. If it sounds like it's up your street, go.
I went to go and watch If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. And do you know when you think that's such a cool title, and I'm thinking, what is that? Why is that the title? And I think I kind of got it. In terms of watching it, I did really enjoy it. Rose Byrne is... Any other year she'd have got the Oscar, in my opinion.
I'm so excited to see this. I'm going to see it tonight.
Her best performance by far. Yeah. By far. The camera, I mean, it all rests on her shoulders. It's more of like a character-heavy film. Like, it's not necessarily massively plot-driven, although there are... The one thing I didn't like about it as much was the fact that it's not necessarily a very heavy in terms of plot, but it kind of makes you think that it is, or that it's going to lean into something. There's a lot of like plot devices that are, I'm not trying not to spoil it because you're going to see it tonight, but there's a few plot devices that are within the film that you think are going to be elaborated on, or they're going to be symbolic of something, and you're going to learn something more about it. And it kind of doesn't go far enough for me in terms of that. For example, I don't want to spoil it, but there's a hole somewhere. In a
isn't it in her roof?
There's a hole in the roof, and
I've seen that in the trailer.
I wonder what it's gonna represent. I wonder what it meant, and I thought it was gonna lean more into it, especially when it's advertised. It's been advertised as a comedy horror. There were quite humorous elements to it. Horror didn't really lead into that much for me at all. I didn't think it was a horror. It was more of like a sci-fi thriller / comedy. It had a really cool blend of genres. It was very, very A24, very cool. But in terms of these little plot devices and things that you think are going to expose or are going to kind of deeply represent something within this woman's life, it doesn't really lean into that. And you kind of are, when it ends, I was like, what was that? And I get it. Films don't have to explain, they prompt you to read into things and look into things, but it didn't prompt me enough to be like, what does that mean? Like, it didn't exemplify anything enough for me in terms of like the little plot devices. However, it isn't necessarily it's not dense in terms of the plot. It's more her, and everything around her is kind of orchestrated, and these plot devices are there just to kind of fuel and facilitate the story surrounding this woman's mental breakdown, in essence.
Right.
That character is such an interesting character that she plays, because there's so many elements of her that are so contradictory. She's so multifaceted. She's such a cool character. There's moments where you're like, oh yeah, she's so great, like she's so this, and then you're like, oh my god, you're a bit of a what, it makes you constantly, think differently about her all the time. I think she's great. I think any actress, if you'd have got that script, you would have sunk your teeth into it fully. It's such a cool role.
Yeah.
That was the most entertaining, compelling part of it for me. the fact that the camera really never leaves her face.
No, the camera was so close to her face. I don't know if
Yeah.
anyone's watched any interviews on this, or if you have. I've watched a couple, and she could hear the buzzing of the camera because it was so close to her face.
Could she?
Yeah.
The first shot is up close.
Okay.
Like it is all.
She said she struggled to start with because of how invasive the camera was, but then you kind of get used to it. It was directed by Mary Bronstein, wasn't it? Yeah.
But all of them shots, it communicates to you. I like the cinematography because it really leans into the fact that this is a film solely focused on her.
Yeah.
It all rides on her shoulders, and she is impeccable in it. My favourite Rose Byrne performance by far. I honestly forget how good she is at the drama, because although it is advertised as a comedy horror, I didn't think it was a comedy horror at all. I did think it was, in terms of genre, quite ambiguous. I wasn't mad at that at all. I really enjoyed her performance in it, and I think it all rides on her. So that kind of, where does it sit? It didn't really come into the dialogue for me. However, there were the elements of it that were kind of leaned into horror, or more thriller in my opinion. They were really, really, really good. And I do think it's a film, like a lot of horrors recently, if you're going to call it that, all up for debate, but like The Substance, like Sinners, and I would put this one in that category as well. Horror or thrillers are being used in a way that being made in a way that they've never been made before. They're becoming a vice to explore really interesting societal topics.
Yeah.
And I found this one did it as well. I think it really, at the heart of it, it is a very raw, real depiction of motherhood. And it's so interesting the way in which it explores the plight of a woman who is spinning endless amounts of plates and doesn't really get a day off, doesn't really get a break. Okay. And it's the what you get. I don't want to spoil it for you, as I'm thinking like about what I'm saying, but the dialogue of the men in her life and the men that she's surrounded by really sort of, because they really don't show up in the way that she does. It really emphasises the struggle that women.
Does Conan O'Brien?
He's in it, yeah.
Who does he play?
He plays a therapist.
A therapist.
He plays
right.
Yeah.
And A$AP Rocky's, isn't it?
A$AP Rocky's really funny, isn't
it?
He? Yeah, he brings some comedic elements to it, and there are moments where you do giggle because there's a bit of irony in it.
Okay.
Because it is she's dealing with so much, but there's moments of humour. Only very slight, but they do add sort of a comedic element to it. There's something interesting about her daughter in it, and the fact that the way in which she is shot. I give it 3.5.
Okay.
Just because there were moments where I was like, what are you? Why? I want to learn more about that. I'd liked it to have maybe leaned into certain things more, like why? What did that hole in the ceiling represent? Because it represents something. I just wasn't couldn't pinpoint it. But yeah, Rose Byrne.
I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, you'll enjoy it.
The next film is one that I've just watched. This isn't circulating awards season at all, but I just thought I'd give it a bit of airtime just because I really enjoyed it. It's called Wasteman. It stars Tom Blythe and David Johnson, I think his name is. They're two powerhouses leading this. I really enjoyed their performances. I think it was a really good length of film, quite ideal for this genre. It's set in a men's prison, and it's kind of like the trials and tribulations that go on in the prison, as I'm sure you can imagine. Awful. It kind of is edge of your seat stuff though, like it keeps you...
Is it set in... I mean, I am sorry to interrupt.
Modern day.
Britain?
Yeah, Britain. Yeah. Set in Britain, in modern day. I was really hooked. I thought it was a great story arc. Overall, I just think it was a really, really good watch. I really enjoyed it. I think if you've ever seen the TV series Time on BBC, it's very much
Stephen
like
Graham.
that. Yeah.
Is it? Yeah,
it's very much like that. I think, you'd enjoy it. I just think it was just like a good, entertaining watch. You get what you're given, you get what you see. Take it for face value.
That's very refreshing in films these days.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes I just try too hard to interweave
exactly.
things into
sometimes
it,
they make it too hard to be like, this is a film that you could study in film studies. Like, this is just a general, entertaining, good old prison film. And yeah, I've never been in prison, but Jesus Christ, I felt like I'd been in there. I came out and me and my mum were like,
dead.
They should honestly show that into the schools, because
don't do drugs, don't kill
deters,
people.
I don't know how that doesn't deter anyone from doing crimes. Like, oh my God. Overall, I just think it was a really good film, very entertaining. Only an hour and a half, which is ideal nowadays. People don't have very good attention spans. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed. But yeah, they're all of our watches.
Yeah, I want to see Wasteman now. Secret
yeah.
Agent, I'm still undecided, but Wasteman.
Quite a few good
Yeah.
films out at the moment. The ones we've got
Loads.
coming up, I'm obviously seeing If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You tonight. There's a film called How to Make a Killing coming out. The Bride.
The Bride, I'm so excited for that.
I'm really excited for that.
Peaky Blinders is coming out.
Peaky Blinders is coming out.
I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, so
But
there's
so
some
much
good films coming out. But yeah, they were all of our watches. So let us know if you've seen any of them. Let us know your opinions. Let us know any films that you think we should see that are out now that we haven't mentioned. Stunning. But thanks so much for watching, and we hope you enjoyed.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.